glad to join my colleague, the senior senator, to commemorate a great Washingtonian that we lost last week, Billy Frank Jr. Senator Murray and I were able to attend his memorial service yesterday in South Puget Sound area with 6,000 other Washingtonians. You know, that's what happens when a great leader is lost. The community shows up to commemorate him and his spirit. And everybody who knew Billy Frank across the United States of America, and there are many people from all over Indian country that do know or knew of Billy Frank, they will want us to remember that he was a legend that walked among us. Because what he really did was champion environmental rights and the rights of Native American people to fish, and in some ways champion the salmon to make sure that we had good habitat. Sometimes I wonder how a boy from the Nisqually River turned into being such a big Northwest Pacific hero. But for him, he started when he's a very young man listening to fishing stories of his father and many members of the Nisqually tribe. In a book about his life, his father, Willie Frank Sr., recalled a warden telling him, quote, "Your treaty isn't worth the paper it's printed on," end quote. So while Billy's family faced beatings and incarcerations and an implicit and explicit racism, he decided that he was going to defend those rights all the way to the Supreme Court. As he grew into an adolescent, his father said to him, "Keep fishing, even if they arrest you. Keep fishing. Even if they beat you, keep fishing. Even if the fishing claims they say aren't yours and they challenge them, keep fishing." Because he knew that those fishing claims were promised in the Medicine Creek Treaty. So Billy was arrested more than 50 times in this struggle to secure the rights that were guaranteed to him by this government in a treaty. In fact, also in that book, he once was jailed and was asked by some of the people in jail, as he called them, bank robbers, what was he in for? And Billy just said, fishing. So he took the beatings, and instead of turning all of that into anger, he urged people to do things in a nonviolent way, to stand up for what they thought were important issues. He had a great sense of humor. He once said, quote, "If a salmon gets away from you, don't cuss. Don't say anything. That salmon, he's going to go upriver. He's producing more salmon for you and for all of us. That salmon is coming home, and we have to take care of his home," end quote. That's the vision that helped Billy win one of the greatest victories that tribes in the United States of America has ever seen. In a landmark decision, they abolished the regulations and discrimination against Indian fishermen and allowed the tribes to self-regulate, co-manage, and have the opportunity on harvestable catch. We just celebrated the 40th anniversary of that historic Bolt decision, and yesterday we had a chance to pay tribute to a man who played a critical role in that decision. But as my colleague Senator Murray said, Billy Frank did more than just fight for that decision. He continued to focus on restoration of Puget Sound, including the Nisqually Delta, one of the largest tidal marsh restorations in the Pacific Northwest. It has increased the potential for salt marsh habitat in the southern reaches of Puget Sound by over 50%. And because of his advocacy, we have a program now called the Puget Sound Partnership, which is a public-private tribal partnership trying to improve the health of Puget Sound. And he's the reason why we have an agreement that's called Timber, Fish, and Wildlife, which is a model for how people really, I think, around the United States of America should try to resolve some of their differences on environmental issues instead of suing and going to court forever and ever and never having any kind of resolution. This kind of collaboration helps people address with the environmental issues at hand. So all of these things are things that Billy Frank accomplished, and as my colleague Senator Murray said, It was almost like he was larger than life and did this, a job that seemed like should have really been many, many people. But instead, he just did it in his own way. So we will miss him, but we thank the work and the people with the Northwest Fishing Commission for all of that they've done to help us in the Northwest set the right course. And while he won't be there in person, we know that Billy Frank will always be with us and with the salmon of the Pacific Northwest. We will miss him.